Welcome to the Marley Bird YouTube channel, brought to you by Red Heart Yarns. In this video, I am going to show you how to do the corner to corner technique. This is a really fun technique where you literally start at one corner of a project and you will work on the diagonal until you get to the next corner of the project. It requires you to make stitches that are roughly in the shape of a square, and then you will increase those squares as you go along until you get to the diagonal portion, and then you will begin to decrease the number of squares. It's really not that difficult. It's a fun technique and you're going to enjoy it too. If you want to follow along with me as I demonstrate in the video, please look in the video notes below and you will find a link to the chart I am following along with and a link to the yarn I'm using and the hook I'm using. While you're down there, go ahead and smash that like button, as my kids say, and then we will jump in and begin to learn this really fun technique. Chances are, if you're here looking for corner-to-corner instructions, you already have a pretty good idea of what the construction of an actual corner-to-corner is. But just so we're all on the same page, let's take a look at this little chart I drew up. You can see here that this is a rough chart of just a simple square broken up into other little squares. If we were to follow along this chart for a corner-to-corner afghan, we would begin working in this first spot right here. So this would be our first square. As we would continue on in the chart, we would jump up and we would work this square and then this square. And then you would go up to the third row and you would work this square, and this square. You'll notice that as I'm telling you what squares we're working, you are reading the chart like a snake. You would be reading it just like this. And you would also notice that every time you're on an even row, you read the chart from the bottom to the top. And every time you're on an odd row, you read the chart from the top to the bottom. Does that make sense? These little squares, we are going to make up stitches that will represent those squares. We are going to use half double crochets and chain threes to represent those squares. You absolutely could use double crochets or treble crochets to complete these squares as well and get a completely different look, but the concept is going to be the same. So let's begin right here with our chain amount. I am just using a basic size J or a 6mm crochet hook today and some worsted weight yarn. I will begin with a slip knot directly onto my hook. If you need instructions on how to do a slip knot or the other stitches I will be showing you today, please take a look at the beginner basics section right here on the Marley Bird YouTube channel. We will begin by chaining 6, and this initial chain 6 will count as our first chain 3, and then we will work 3 half double crochets into the remaining chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will skip 3 chains and I will do a half double crochet in the 4th chain from hook, then a half double crochet in the remaining 2 chains. Once I complete these half double crochets, I have completed my first square. So this bit of work I just completed is represented in this chart by square number 1. So I could mark that off. Okay, I'm going to make sure I don't get Sharpie all over everything. Once I've done that, it's time to move on to my next square, which is right here. So for this square, we want to build out our stitches. So once again, we will turn our work. So I simply just turn my square just like so, and I will begin once again with the chain 6. And this chain 6 will be just like what we just created. So let's make sure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We will put a half double crochet in the 4th chain from hook. So I yarn over, go into the chain, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3. And I will put a half double crochet in the remaining 2 chains. So what we've done when this is complete is we have built that first square on our row 2. See, this square looks very similar to that one, and we have actually just completed that square right there. So now we have to complete this square, and at the same time, we need to join it to the first square and skip this space, right? So let's do that. What we are going to do is quite literally skip all of these half double crochets from our first square, come all the way over here to our chain 3 section, we will do a single crochet to join, and then we will build from there. So we will do chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we will place 3 half double crochets all into this space. So it's the space created by those chain 3s that we had skipped on the first square. So you complete your half double crochets through the space of those chain 3s. Once I've completed that, I have now completed my second square of my row 2, and it's time for me to move to row 3. So I have started off with this one. I came around and I started reading my chart this way. Then I worked this one. So now it's time to come around and start reading my chart this way. So I'm going to work on that square. I will turn my work just like so and begin with a chain 6 again. See how repetitive this is? But we're building a square. We have nothing else over here, so we have to build our square. So we will skip those chain 3s, do a half double crochet in the 4th one, and then do a half double crochet in the next 2 chains. So there's 1, and there's 2. So that square is now complete, so I can mark it off, and I could say, all right, I'm moving on to this square. So I will skip all of these half double crochets, come over here to this chain 3 space, and I will do a single crochet. That's where I said if you wanted to do a slip stitch, you could, instead of a single crochet. And then you just begin building again. So this chain 3 here counts as the first skip chain 3 that we did on the last one. And then we will do half double crochets all into that chain 3 space. So 1, 2, 3. So I've just completed my second square of my row 3, and I've got one more to complete right here. So let's go ahead and get over there. We'll skip all of these stitches, come over here to this chain 3. I will do a single crochet. I will chain 3 and do a half double, a half double, and a half double all into that chain 3 space. So there we have it, and I just finished that square. So what I have right here on my hook, this is this one, these 2 are these 2, and these 3 represent these 3. Now that we've completed row 3, it's time to move on to row 4, and you'll notice row 4 actually has fewer squares than row 3, which means we will no longer be increasing squares, but we will be decreasing squares. Let me show you how to do that next. As I pick up my work, I want to remind you how we're reading this. So we just finished row 3, so now I'm circling around and I'm coming back, and I will be reading row 4 into this direction. Now for row 4, we no longer have to increase stitches because row 4 begins to build this direction. So what I will do is I will turn my work and I will place slip stitches directly into the tops of those stitches I just completed on the previous square. And now I'm over here to where I'm at my chain 3. So what I can do is I can begin doing my single crochet, chain 3, and then work my half double crochets into that space. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Now I will skip these stitches here and come over here to this square and work my single crochet, chain 3, and my 3 half doubles into that square. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Awesome. So I have completed this square, I moved on, and I completed this square. And now you can see right here in my swatch that it's not attached, right? So what am I going to do? Well, that's easy. I will just do a slip stitch into the chain 3 space of that square there to make sure that it's nice and joined. See how that's nice and pretty? Pretty cool, huh? So this is how it's represented. So our very last square is square 5. So we finished reading this way, so we're coming back in this direction. And our last square is our last corner, so we went from corner to corner, and just like we did on row 4, we want to decrease stitches, so we will work slip stitches. So I'm turning my work. I will put a slip stitch into each stitch across to get to my chain 3 space. Once I'm to my chain 3 space, I can jump in with my single crochet, chain 3, and then work my 3 half double crochets all around those chains of the chain 3 of the previous row. I'm here at the end. I want to make sure I join to that next set of 3 chains. So I join with the slip stitch. I would just chain 1 because this would be the end of my work, snip my yarn, give it a pull so it finishes it off, and voila, I have a nice square made using corner to corner. So we began at this corner right here with square number 1. There's squares for rows 2. Here's our 3 squares for row 3. Here's our 2 squares for row 4. And here's our last square for row 5. And it's complete. Now you know how to do the corner to corner technique, and the sky is the limit for you. I am telling you, I know that whether you're a beginner crocheter or an advanced crocheter, this technique can be really addictive. You can use a solid color yarn just as I used today, or maybe use a variegated yarn to get a different kind of look, or maybe you want to go and choose a long color changing yarn like Red Heart Unforgettable, and you will look like you have put in all of this work changing colors as you're making your blanket, but it's really the yarn that did the work for you. Pretty cool, right? There are so many possibilities. I hope you enjoyed this video, and will hit subscribe so you're up to date whenever there's a new video released, and make sure you smash that like button, as my kids say. I'm Marley Bird, proud spokesperson for Red Heart Yarns, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye. Now you know how to make corner to corner. Why don't you go ahead and check out the other 2 blankets that I have videos for right here on the YouTube channel. You can make these stunning blankets for the holidays or maybe for your next baby shower. I walk you through step by step how to do the corner to corner, how to change colors, and how to weave in your ends. Go ahead, click those links right there and choose which one you want to learn how to do next.